As I was lamenting myself over the list of stuff that is waiting for me over the following months and how little I've actually seen of 2017 animation with half the year already upon us, a new Cartoon Network miniseries came over to save the day. And it's not any series. It's a series created, directed, drawn, and even voice acted by a Mexican just like myself. His name is Alan Ituriel. I'm Cynthia Cisneros and this is Animation Corner. Today, Villainous. Villainous is a mini-series with episodes that are under a minute long, just released in Latin America on May 15, 2017. And though it seems like this came out of nowhere, this series has been in production from well before 2014, as the now 23-year-old creator, Ituriel, was found in that year thanks to the Pig Seattle Festival, where he wins the pitching contest held and got to meet the Latin American Cartoon Network executives. Ituriel has animation experience since age 16, as he used to work as an art director and production assistant in anime studios. And though he's worked in small animation for TV and commercials, this is his first formal project, and the internet is already very, very excited about it. Not much to talk about here, just villains being villainous, as the title would suggest. The group are Black Hat, the evil and very dapper leader of the group, voiced in Spanish by the very Alan Ituriel. Dr. Flug, fan favorite nervous and nerdy scientist who hides his face. Dementia, the evil assistant with a huge crush on her boss. And 505, the sweet little teddy bear who could not do wrong. Together, the group makes Black Hat Organization, who, as the bad guys, just do bad stuff, along selling evil products to other villains. At the end though, they mostly just mess around and make for some good banter by being pretty bad at being bad. I didn't realize how much I needed this series. Not only because it's Mexican talent, but it's talent, period. 2D animation will always have a place in my heart, no matter how relevant the normal 3D has become nowadays as a staple, honestly. The character design style is pretty interesting to me in the sense that nobody looks totally human in this, and it's pretty visible where the different references may have been drawn in the making of the characters. However, my actual favorite part about Villainous is what it means for Mexican animation, and Latin Americans in general. See, the thing is, lots of people think that the best and only way for a Latino to do well, and that includes Latinos, is for them to go to the USA and just hope for the best. Mexico in particular seems to be a little narrow-minded when it comes to animation, because all the popular and relevant content that seems to come out of here seems to be explicitly, exclusively, and strictly Mexican in themes. Like, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The only thing you know about us is Dia de Muertos, wrestling, Mexican myths and legends, pop culture, and so forth. And though my culture is rich, beautiful, and colorful, I think it'd be really good if the world could know that Mexico is way more than its own stereotypes, and how flexible our culture actually is. Well, popular culture, at least animation-wise, seems to be saying from both Mexico and the rest of the world's perspective is that a Mexican may only be seen if they present themselves as the world already knows them. As a Mexican instead of anything else that could define them. Something that could be as original, adventurous, and creative as something that came out of any other country. Mexico is a worldwide known country and should be given the chance to act as such, so why not show off in our media how up to date we actually are with current times? Back to Villainous, which is what we are actually talking about here, and once you understand the context that I'm coming from, it's easier to like it because it's a Mexican media that isn't about Mexico or doesn't have any strong ties to its country of origin. It doesn't become incomprehensible when taken out of a Mexican context. Characters and plot aren't dependent to their country, which makes it easier to take into consideration for dubbing worldwide. The only thing that it really relies on is the character's personality, so culture doesn't exactly play a strong role for once. Another thing I'd like to point out is that both the internet and I are not praising the show and its creators so much just because they're Mexican, but because the creator is someone who's being honest to his own designs and ideals and seems to have a big love for both the characters and what he does. In a way, the show does rely a lot in the type of humor and design that isn't really as relevant anymore, but it somehow still feels incredibly refreshing, and it knows what to bring back from those times. So Villainous is a pretty successful series, and here's why I think so. It evokes the kind of feeling that cartoons like Invader Sim and The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy did, giving a comedic kind of spin to gross and scary ideas but staying accessible and lighthearted. It's all very 2010 or so, I think. Casting aside all the reflection the series gave me about the way I perceive Mexican animation and the very nice details about the creator's background, it's time to actually look at the series itself and admit that it really isn't for everybody. I'd call Villainous a hybrid of the two shows I mentioned, Invader Sim and Billy and Mandy, both for the art style and the kind of humor it manages. Something very young and teenager-like. If you know the series I just told you about, you know how much I'm saying about Villainous. But if you don't, I can quickly explain that Invader Sim and The Grim Adventures of Bill and Mandy are cartoons that didn't mind getting ugly if needed, both ambitious and the darkness of their jokes. As you may have gathered from the video, Villainous is sort of the same, not very willing in being pretty, but experimental and stylized. The sense of humor is very much the earlier type of random kind of humor that relies a lot on references, but also has a very clever use of visual gags and background details. Random humor tends to be not everybody's cup of tea though, as it's too juvenile for many. Comedy is subjective anyways, and not everyone laughs about the same thing, but that's what Villainous is at the end, a comedy. That said, that's a very good way to describe the show, I think, subjective. And not this work of art I feel absolutely everybody could watch and love. I can definitely see this as being more popular with the younger crowd though, so it could be a teenager's perfect drawing practice or inspiration for their own adventures in creating. To finish off, I'm going to give this a 4-star grade. Mostly missing the last one because subjectivity makes it really hard to recommend the show, and this is what Villainous is. Another big reason I can't really give it a higher grade is that I have to see more, because these are 30-second long episodes at the most, and it's very hard to look at something that short objectively. And that's always needed for the review, enough material to actually go off on. The grade could possibly go up once there's a proper series with 10 to 20 minute kind of episodes like it is done nowadays, but for now I can take what I can get. By the way, speaking of possibilities, we can actually make those happen. Alan himself is asking for his fan support, so I might as well do my best to plug that. He's trying hard to get the show to the USA, and all we have to do to help him is to be honest and demand more. I'll be leaving here the links to his Twitter and to CN so we can help get Villainous to the USA. And once it goes to the USA, it'll be much easier for it to be a worldwide kind of phenomenon. Or at least one in both Mexico and USA. Which is great, so go go go! My name is Cynthia Cisneros and this was Animation Corner. Liked it? Soon, more to come.